Hello, guys, and welcome back to Talkoffamepod with your host, Kylie Montini. And I'm super excited for today's conversation because we're welcoming Sienna Cartier, who's an influencer based out of Georgia. Make sure to subscribe and rate the podcast and stay tuned for more episodes of podcasts. Thank you so much for coming on a podcast. How are you today?
I am so good, Kylie. Thanks for having me on today. This is so fun.
Of course, I'm super excited to have you on. And if people don't know who you are and kind of want to learn more about you, can you tell us more about you and kind of like what you do and all that things?
So, my name is Sienna Cartier. I am from originally born in Arizona, but grew up in Georgia. And I am a full time content creator, influencer, which I actually just went full time with in the past few years. So, it's been a fun journey of getting to travel and meet new people and go new places and work with some really cool brands. So, I'm just super thankful for where I'm at in life right now and super excited to share it with you guys.
Like, what is like the best place or the your favorite place to travel to, like that you travel to? At least I'm a travel geek. I love traveling, so I have to ask her about what place she is like your favorite.
So I went to St. Thomas a few years ago, which was such a dream. And it was kind of at the tail end of COVID. So tickets were really cheap. And me and my roommates were like, hey, let's just go. And that was just such a sweet trip because it was so spur of the moment. And we just did it and were able to just make some incredible memories. But I will say, I know my favorite place is about to be Italy. I get to go at the end of June. And so I haven't
Mhm.
been yet, but I'm telling you now, that's going to be my new favorite. So ask me in a few weeks and that'll be my answer.
I'm so jealous you're going to Italy. I know my cousins are going there in this week. I'm just so jealous because Italy is one of my dream places to travel to. And like with the pictures and stuff, every time I see pictures on social media, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, just let me go to Italy for
I
once.
know.
Like
And
if
the
I could
food,
live there, I would live there for sure.
for sure. I agree.
Like,
I
are you just going there to visit, or are you just going to like some things for, like work purposes?
We are going to visit. So it's the same roommates. We're getting back together and taking a trip. But I will probably try and work with some places out there, whether it be restaurants, hotels. I've got to start picking myself. But yeah, that would be really, really cool to get to work with some places out there.
Like, are you like, what are some places like you're desperate to go to about in Italy? Because I know there's so many spots like you need to go to.
So I would say the main one for me is Siena, Italy, which has one less in than my name does. But I've just always wanted to go there because we share the same name and it's so beautiful. It's a smaller town, but they have horse racing during the summer. I'm not sure if we're going to be there for that, but it is just the culture there. I'm just super excited to get immersed in the culture and the food and just everything about it. So that is definitely top of my list.
Like, do you have like a motto or a quote that you live by daily? Because I know like a lot of people like will be like, oh, I live by this, I live by that. Like, do you have one like a quote or like a motto that you live by?
I actually do. So this is kind of a two-part one, but my favorite quote is it's a good day to have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have based that off of my favorite Bible verse, which is Psalm 118:24. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And that just really is what I try to live by because no matter what's going on in your life, if it's a good day or you're having a tough day, just to know that God still has you here. He woke you up this morning. So, therefore, it is a good day and it's going to be a good day. He put the breath in your lungs. You have a purpose. You are loved. And just to know your identity and your worth is not in your circumstances, but it's in who God says I am. Therefore, I can go out and have a good day today. So that's just something that's really impacted me, and I like to share with others as well. Just have a positive outlook on life is really important. So yeah.
You're exactly right because like with having a positive like mindset is really the kind of the key to living every day and being happy. Even though you might be having a hard day or something, like there's always something to be grateful for each day, even if you're having a bad day. Like, oh, like, yeah, as an example, like you said, like God woke me up this morning. Like that's something to be grateful for and make it a good day. Even though you might seem like have bad things going on, the only thing you should care about is God waking you up each day. Is you're living to see what's happening that day and you're seeing your family, your parents, your siblings as well. So at least like if you're having a bad day, just remember that. Like, oh, God woke me up this morning. That's the only thing I should care about each day.
For sure, for sure. And I would just piggyback off that real quick of something that's really helped me to live that out is just practicing intentional gratitude. So back in the fall, I was going through kind of a hard time with just a few different situations, and it would be easy for me to spiral and get in a negative headspace. And so I really had to be so intentional about being grateful and being thankful. And I would encourage you that if you start to get into a place where you are feeling that way, to take a piece of paper, write down everything there is to be thankful for, because it's more than you realize. And when you're in that negative headspace, it's hard to recognize it. But when you
Mhm.
have facts on a piece of paper of everything there is to be thankful for, it's hard to dispute that. So I would just encourage anybody to practice that. And I know it's really helped me. So I hope it can help somebody else as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing because like even though you might be going through a rough time like with mental health or things going on in your life, like writing that down, like what you're thankful for, even doing meditation or yoga or doing something, or even talk to someone about your feelings. If you write it down or even do something and be like, okay, well, why am I feeling this way? Like you have to kind of realize like what's causing this negative impact on me? Like how can I make myself better and think positive instead of negative?
1000%. Love that.
Like, do you think like family and friends supports everything, especially as like a content creator or influencer?
I think absolutely it makes the world of a difference. In any part of life, just having support of the people around you that love you is incredible. And I mean, I know it's definitely spurred me on to success um, in a lot of different ways. I mean, even just with social media, knowing that my friends have my back, and even my friends that don't do social media or don't really understand it, they are still always willing to do whatever it takes to help me out, whether it be help me take a picture, comment on my stuff, support me through my Amazon storefront, things like that. But I would say more than anything, I am so thankful to have a family that is so supportive. They would do anything for me. They're always hyping me up. My dad, I'll never forget. There's actually a video on my social media about this, but we were going through Arizona and I was trying to find a photo spot to take a picture in this dress for sunset. And he was driving through the desert. I mean, these rocks and everything, and just trying to find the perfect spot for me to take this picture. And he jumped out and he was clearing rocks out of the picture so that I could get the perfect shot and hyping me up. And it's just sweet. It's just very sweet to be able to have that support. So I'm very thankful. And I would encourage everybody to be that supporter for your friends too, because it means more than you know. So no matter what their job is or no matter what's going on, a little bit of encouragement can go such a long way. And just checking in on them with specific things and hey, how did that call go? Certain things like that means the world. So I would
Mhm.
definitely encourage that as well.
Yeah, that's actually so sweet, really, like that dad, like your dad doing that. Like that is such like a good example, like you're a good support system. Is whether like even like a small thing like that would mean the world. Like to me as example, like if someone did that for me, or even like a message saying like, "Oh, how did that go?" or "How did your day go?" or something, it would mean the world. Even though some people might not know how what to do in some situations that I like personally, it would mean I'd rather get that support than them knowing like, oh, how do I use this? How do I use that? Like I would much rather kind of get support from my family than get negativity each day and have like a good support system each day to keep me going. Because if it wasn't for my family or friends, I'm sure this is for you as well, but if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't probably be doing this without them having my back and whenever I needed it in situations.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, that's very sweet.
But like, what type of content do you like typically like to create like on your social media?
So I work with a lot of fashion brands, skincare brands. I work with Dunkin', I've worked with Pinterest. So the content is kind of all over the board. It varies from lifestyle to beauty to travel to fashion. But I really love to create those more candid in the moment photos, even if it is for a collab. I don't do the stand and smile pictures. I did those through college, but now I just want my content to be more, I guess, life filled and
Mhm.
organic. And so I really try to capture the joy of the little moments in my pictures when I'm taking them, which makes it more fun to do the content too, because
Mhm.
usually there's a lot of movement involved if I'm dancing on the beach. And it's just also a cool way for me to document those moments, almost like a diary of my life. So that's been pretty cool too. And I also, side note of that, I love disposable cameras. I love
Oh
Polaroid.
yeah.
I have this whole TED talk that I won't go on today, but basically about how growing up, I would look at my parents' photo albums and stuff from when they were growing up and they were in their 20s, getting to see these really cool moments captured. But now so much of our life is social media and curated. And I just love those in the moment, real pictures of not, oh, let me fix my hair, but just snap, took a picture of you. Okay, we'll see it in a month. And so I started doing that, and I'm actually scrapbooking a lot where I get to print out my pictures from disposable cameras and whatnot. And I think that's a super fun way to just document life in general, and something I'll get to show my kids someday, a way to look back on memories. So I would encourage anybody to do that too, because it's just fun.
Like that's how much like time has changed over the years of social media. Like that's like the worst part about social media is that like everyone kind of feels self-conscious about themselves when they see pictures on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that is a part of it. And I know that just social media in general can be a very negative space. And so I just really want to use my platform to be a space of encouragement for people, to be a space of inspiration for people, and ultimately to be a space to share the love of God with everybody that comes in contact with my platform. So those are kind of my overarching goals of having my platform. And yes, it is a dream that it gets to be my full-time job. It's just blows my mind that I get to make money from this, because when people ask me what is your dream job, I truly say it is what I have now. So I'm
Mhm.
very, very thankful for that. But I just want to be able to make a positive impact on people when they come across my page. And I've been able to see that happen. And so that is what means the most to me at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me as well. Basically, when people ask like, "Oh, what do you want to do in the future?" or "What do you want to see yourself in 5 years?" I'm like, it's what I'm basically doing right now. Like, like I rather like the dream job I have is what exactly what I'm doing right now in this point of time. Even though I'm 16 years old, like what I'm doing, I'd rather do make an impact and do what I do and make an impact on people's lives rather than do nothing and sit back, you know? So it's like I'd rather basically try to work hard each day because I know it will be worth it and make a difference in people's lives rather than do nothing and sit back and just kind of not make a difference because I know people would definitely need that difference when they're going through a hard time. Because I know like when I go through a hard time or having a bad day, I always look for that video or that picture or that YouTuber or whatever it is to kind of get that motivation or make my day better. Because even though like I have those days, I want to be that for someone. I'm sure that's the same thing for you, but it's like sometimes you're like, oh, how can I be that person? Or how can I be inspiration to that girl in front of me? Like, it's just like always those questions that you think about daily that you're trying to figure out what to do.
For sure. And you don't even know the impact that you're having by following. And I say, I don't know where I heard this, but it talks about where your passions are, and where the gifts that God gave you are. When those intersect, that is just such a sweet spot for where you are in life, to be able to serve Him and glorify Him, but also do what you love and have your passions. What a sweet spot to be in. But you don't know by who listens to your podcast who could be inspired to go do something similar or impact somebody else's life. And so it's a spider web effect, it's a domino effect over you won't even know how many lives that you're touching or impacting, until we get to heaven someday. So that's very, very, very sweet.
And like, how do you like find encouragement or inspiration in the content every single day? Because I know it can be very difficult to kind of get yourself out of bed and do that each day and stuff. Like, just for me, like it's sometimes hard for me to do an interview each day, depending on the day. But like, how do you find that like encouragement to do that every single day?
So I would say when I'm here at my house in Georgia, it can be hard sometimes because I don't have a huge influencer community. A lot of my friends are out of state, but when I get together with girls that are doing the same thing as me and chasing that same goal, my inspiration is at an all-time high because we all feed off each other's energy. We all get it. We all, know the angles, have the same creative brain for it, but also different perspectives and different ideas. And it's just so fun to get out and do a content day or go shoot with those girls. So a few of them, McCall, well, she's in Florida now, but my friend Ashley, she lives here, and Lainey and Mackenzie, they're in Florida. And so whenever I get together with those girls, it's just such a fun time. And it's just really, really awesome because we're all chasing the same thing. And I feel like it's like that for every field. So, for example, if you get to share ideas and pick brains of other podcasters, that could inspire you, encourage you. And it's just, it's just really awesome to have girls supporting girls out here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm so for. If people are messaging me, asking me for advice or things, I'm like so happy to jump in and help because that's what we're here for. So
Like it's just like that's the reason what we do is like whenever people ask for help, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Like this is like I'm helping people. Like with like these like if people are really looking to do like content or influencing or whatever they kind of want to do, like it's just like there's always that one person they want to go to. And like I know like for people like they don't have people to look up to or don't know where to go to. So it's just like when they reach out to us through social media or something, it's just like the best kind of feeling in the world to have that person reach out.
for sure. Yeah, it's very much an honor, very flattering for sure.
Mm-hmm. And like, what are some inspirations you use in terms of making content? Like, do you have anyone that you find inspiration from or anything?
I would say, obviously, my friends, when we get together, that's super inspiring, super helpful. Honestly, Pinterest is a great
Oh.
platform for inspiration. TikTok, even. I follow some TikTok accounts that have social media tips, advice, things like that, and those are super helpful. But at the end of the day, I feel like I will do inspo pics sometimes, but even just having a prop, I feel like is one of my biggest pieces of advice because it just opens it up for so much more creative movement in the picture, whether it's just like a cup of coffee or something. That's where I have the most fun with it.
And like, do you think like making content takes a lot of like your mental health or living life each day? Because I know like with doing so many things each day in terms of making content it takes so much out of you.
For sure. I would say I'm still definitely trying to find a work life balance with that because when work is showcasing your life, there isn't really a balance. And so I feel like I definitely work more than a 9 to 5. Like I'm always on my phone, but I'm working, I'm editing, and there's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't even understand or recognize. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just posting a cute picture to Instagram, it is negotiating deals, signing contracts, answering emails, reposting to Pinterest, posting to TikTok, doing, Instagram reels, and then also making sure that I'm doing organic fun content too that's not brand deals and, Amazon storefront. So there's a lot of moving pieces and it can be a little overwhelming at some points, but I also just love it. And I have the time where I'm at in my life right now where I'm able to just pour everything I've got into it. But I would say I'm definitely in the works of trying to figure out some boundaries because there just aren't boundaries, I would say, unless you set them for yourself. And so I tried to for a minute to do Mondays are no social media days, like no nothing, no Pinterest, no nothing, not even email, no work, and just to take a day to rest. But that just didn't really work out with my travel schedule. So I feel like now I'm trying to recoup and figure out something that could work. So maybe it would be a fluctuating day of Mondays this week, but you know, next week it'll be Wednesday, but it just depends because it's not like all my packages come in on a Monday and then I shoot on Tuesdays. I could have 15 packages today, 0 tomorrow, 5 the next day. I'm working with so many different brands. Therefore, I'm on all these different timelines that are always changing and always moving around. So it's just figuring it out as I go, but I'm loving it. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Like I do with like all that as well because like when you like work like 24/7 like doing like entertainment all content all that stuff is not a 9 to 5 job like if you can do work from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed each night Like sometimes like when you like go through that all day, like you're so exhausted that you don't still want to do it anymore. Because that's how some days are for me. I'm like, oh, I can't do so much. Can't do any more work, but I have so much work to do. Because it's like with there's some days like that. Like you're like, oh, I have so much work, but then I can't do anymore. That means that means that your body's making you try to rest. And like sometimes you have to prioritize that, like your health. Because of course, like I know you want to do so much work and get that work done and grow each day on your platform or whatever it is that you're trying to grow. It's just like sometimes you're like, oh, what can I do today besides work? Like should I go to my visit one of my family members or go for a walk or visit my friends, go out travel or somewhere that interests you? Like it's just like work doesn't always have to be your priority because obviously, of course, it's very important to grow, but obviously, it can mean that sometimes like you need a break each day, whether it's like an hour to go for a walk or whatever you decided to do.
For sure. I think definitely focusing in on the mini breaks because right now a whole day has not really been super doable with my schedule. But like you said, going for a walk, not having your phone on you for a certain period of time, maybe in the morning. For me, it is bubble baths. Girl, I just love a bubble bath and
Me
I will put my
too.
phone in the other room so I don't even have it and just put on some music and grab a book and make myself a cup of tea, and that's my rest, that's my happy place, that's my place where I'm able to just unwind and unplug. And I think it's so important for everybody, not even people that do social media, to have times like that where they're just able to unplug because it's so easy to get wrapped up in technology and social media and all of that world. But to just slow down for a sec is so healthy.
That's so true. Like it's just like when you're like technology can be like a very like memorizing thing. Because of course, like with technology, everyone's on their phones or on social media. Even especially with friends, like when you're out with friends or family, everyone's on their phones and like or texting on their phones. But when like since when do we not have face-to-face interactions is my question. Like even though like that's what our parents grew up with, like when those social media, like that's something I kind of wish we had, like our parents have with no social media because like it has more kind of a human connection, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, me as I'm a social person, I'm a people person, and I do social media, it's my job, but at the end of the day, I'm not a good texter. I mean, I'm just horrible. Like I'm just an in-person kind of gal.
Yeah,
And
me
so
too.
being intentional about still trying to meet people out and about and still try to say hey to somebody or compliment somebody. You like their skirt, say, hey, love your skirt. Where'd you get like just creating space for conversation. And I feel like even just the past few years of COVID kind of whacked out the way that people interact with each other. But I really want to bring that back as like, come on, guys, like we can go out and talk to people. We can go out
Mhm.
and meet people and interact with them. And it's really cool to be able to do that. And I've met some awesome people through doing so. So yeah, love that.
Yeah, and so like you are very also passionate about faith and humanity and all these things. Like, how did you become like a follower of like Jesus and all that stuff?
So I grew up in a Christian home, but I really did not make my faith my own until about 2 to 3 years ago. It was after college and I was just kind of coasting. I was just kind of going through the motions. I was doing, you know, the right things and going to church on Sundays, but I wasn't living my life how I was preaching it. So I was kind of like, which is a dangerous spot to be because my heart really wasn't in it, but my head, like I knew all the right things. And so I was just not feeling that fullness of joy, not feeling that fullness of life, and just kind of going through the motions. And I ended up finding my home church now, which is Elevate City Church. It's in Sandy Springs, Georgia. And that really just flipped a lot in my head and helped me to really grasp like who Jesus is, what faith really is, what faith is for me, and how I'm able to, it's not just, okay, I go to church on Sundays, I'm a Christian. It's no, this impacts every single part of my life. And it's not like God has these set of rules of you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But when you fully surrender your life to him, he changes the desires of your heart to really line up with his heart. So it's not like, for the longest time, I was just on the brink of surrender. I was on the edge of it. And I was just so scared to let go of everything I thought that I loved and I wanted. But then once I really finally did, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much freedom in this. Like, this is not restricting.
Mhm.
This is life. This is joy. This is peace. This is freedom. So yeah.
Like that's how much like things change when you go to that environment. Because like with my family, I grew up with kind of like a people that are faith, that have a lot of faith in themselves. Like they love Jesus, they love God. Like I grew up kind of with that surroundings in terms of family. And like I was never that type of person that was into that type of things they liked in terms of going to church and all these things. I absolutely like kind of hated it
Yeah.
because every time I would go to church or something, I would just have a meltdown. And like, but now, like at 16, I'm like, I kind of do want to go through that kind of stuff, even though like I didn't like that as a kid. I'm like, this is something I want to do, even though like I grew up with the atmosphere of my family. It's just like I didn't realize how grateful I was of dad being surrounded by dad until I got older. And with God and stuff, I started getting more kind of serious in that. Like I'm like, oh God is amazing. I never would knew how much I was grateful for him until where I am now. And that's the best part about it. It's like even though you never realize how much you love something until um you realize it as you get older. And that's something I realized that like, oh, God means so much to me. Like I didn't know how big part of my life and how much he would mean to me until I would as I got older, you know.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Definitely easy to take for granted in your younger years when your brain's still developing and there's a lot going on. But yeah, very thankful to be on the other side of that for sure.
And like also like you're very passionate about fashion and have your Amazon store. Like, what is the best piece of clothing you own if you had to choose? I know it might be very difficult to choose something, but
Girl, if I had to pick, it would definitely, it's got to be my cowboy boots. Okay.
oh yeah,
I can
the
wear them with
Southern girl
everything.
coming out of you.
I can wear them with jean shorts. I can wear them with dresses, and I'm a big dress girl. I wear a
Totally.
ton of dresses. I have a ton actually lined up right here because dresses, first of all, are so easy. All you got to do is pick
Mhm.
out the shoes, really, once you get the dress on, and they're comfy. I don't know why people are like, "Oh, your dress is so fancy." I'm like, "Girl, it took me 2 seconds. I just put on this dress and these boots." But
Mhm.
cowboy boots, and then also overalls. I'm a big overalls girl. I
Mhm.
just love me some good denim, and they're comfy and you can lounge around in them, go to the beach in them. So yeah, definitely cowboy boots and overalls, and then I guess dresses. So I
Yeah,
picked
I'm a big dress girl. Every time I go out, I'm like, I need to dress up. Like it's just like me, my friend, my best friend Vanessa. She's a big dress up girl. Like she loves to dress up and all these things.
fun.
And like it's like she like during the pandemic, she kind of got me into that. Now I'm like post pandemic world. I just every time I go out with family or something, I'm like I have to dress up. Whether it's like jeans, boots, or something, I'm always dressing up. That's like what people always have to kind of dive into during the pandemic. It was like, of course, we had nothing to do, just always have one person that dives
Right.
into you and chases like your personality and the way you dress.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, I think it's fun, especially because I do work from home a lot when I'm, here in Georgia and not traveling. So I'm just, lounging around in sets and sweatpants, and I don't really have a need to dress up if I'm just around the house. So when I do go out, I'm like, oh, I want to put on a dress and dress cute and do my hair. And yeah, for sure. I love to dress up.
And like the last thing I have for you is what is some advice for influencers and content creators that are just kind of starting out or want to kind of like do it as an everyday thing or a career?
I would say, first of all, consistency is key. Consistency
Yeah.
is so important. And being able, and this can be overwhelming sometimes, but to cross platform promote. So that means across all platforms. I am on Pinterest, I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram. Those are my main ones. And then Amazon. I don't know if that's really social media, but it's something I post on often. And then I know Lemonade is something that just came out, and I haven't quite figured that one out yet, but it's just really awesome to be able to repurpose your content and push it across all platforms. It increases your reach. That is a big piece of advice I would give. And then also just think about what you're passionate about and hone in on that. So, for example, you might be like, okay, Sienna, I want to do this, but I don't love fashion. I don't even love makeup. But it's like, okay, what do you love? Do you love to cook? Do you love to do pottery? Do you love to work out at the gym? Like everybody usually has one thing that they're either good at or love, or hopefully both. And they're able to use that on their platforms, and it won't feel as much like work, because if you're going to try to force yourself to, do fashion and you don't love fashion, well, that might not work out in the long run, because you're not going to feel motivated to create that kind of content. But if it's something you are so passionate about, it will come more naturally, and it will be more authentic for your followers as well. So honestly, I mean, I see stuff on my TikTok for you page. You can have a platform for anything and everything. I mean, I see guys cooking in the woods on a little bonfire, and they have millions of followers just because they're just showcasing what they love. So I would say find what you love, focus in on that, and be consistent.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly right. Like, consistency is obviously important. Like, even though it might be tiring and boring at points, and like, why do I have to do this 24/7? But it's like, it's still honestly the best part if you love it, though. As long as you love it, what you do and stuff like that, then you're all set. It doesn't care about work. It only cares about growing as a person and growing your platform, and obviously connecting with other people and brands. That's obviously really the best part of it.
For sure. 1,000%.
And like, where can people find you on social media if they want to connect with you?
So I am on I'll give my Instagram, and it has the links to all my platforms on there. But it's at Sienna Cartier, SIENNA CARTIER. And there should be a link in my bio that has the link to my Amazon storefront, where I have all kinds of fashion finds, beauty finds, travel finds, and then my TikTok as well, Pinterest, and then any other platform that I'm on. So would love to connect with you guys. And again, thank you so much for having me. This has been so awesome.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on. And everyone go follow Sienna. She's amazing. And thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you, Sienna, for coming on. It's such a blast and a lot of time with you. You're making a difference. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.